Okay, so let's go ahead and get back into our coverage over Age of Apocalypse, where we now pick up with issue number 2 of the X-Calbre series. Now, for issue number 2 of the X-Calbre series, it's really more the idea of Nightcrawler right now, the moment, trying to find Mystique. And the reason why, because for Magneto, he has many plans going on, and one of those plans is to find a woman known as Destiny, but the only way to find her is to find Mystique, who knows who Destiny looks like. And so for Nightcrawler, he has to meet up with his mother to go to Avalon to find the woman known as Destiny. Now, when it comes to Avalon, it is basically the, well, Savage Land in this reality. Now, the Savage Land, of course, in both the old and new timeline, is right in the middle of Antarctica, but you have humans and mutants trying their best to get over to the Savage Land. The reason why, because, well, by this point in the timeline, Apocalypse is the sole ruler of North America. Now, for Apocalypse, he's really going after the humans more than mutants who did not agree with his idea of ruling over North America. But either way, you have humans and mutants trying their best to get over to Avalon. The problem is that it does cost a lot of money to be able to make it there. And also, the way to get there is a rough path to take because, again, it's in the middle of Antarctica. So yes, once you make it, it's great, but you have to get through the cold temperatures of Antarctica first to get into the middle of Antarctica to the Savage Land. But either way, you had different people go out of their way to help out people to escape over to Avalon. One of those people was Mystique. Now, I'm going to save her to the end of this issue right here to talk more about her in this reality, because as we get into the opening pages of issue number 2, we pick up with a young character known as Switchback. Now, for Switchback, she is from Detroit, but she had left North America behind to head over to Avalon. Now, here's the thing, because she did travel with a group, but her entire group died as they traveled over to Avalon. Now, once she was able to make it, you had King Marco walk her over to Destiny. Now, once you had Destiny being able to touch Switchback, she saw a possible future. And that's the thing about Destiny, because yes, she can see a future, but that future might not be the exact one for you. It's only a possibility. And so for Switchback, she saw a possible future where Avalon was going to burn like it is right now in North America. And so for Destiny, she is freaking out because, again, this is a safe haven for both mutants and humans. And the whole idea of losing this is completely horrible. Now we have to jump over to Ghost Dance. Now, Ghost Dance in this reality was a church. And really, they were kind of hoping in the idea that something or someone will be able to get rid of Apocalypse. Now, with that being said, Ghost Dance was one of the many groups out there that would help people get over to Avalon. And so for Nightcrawler, he had used their services as a way to hopefully get over to Avalon by using a submarine. Now, with all that being said, they had a spy in their camp, and that would be Danny Moonstar, and she had, of course, reported back over to Apocalypse. So we're now seeing her being able to go back there, and she kills off every single member of the Ghost Dance Church just like that. But getting back over to Nightcrawler, we see him and some people on a submarine trying their best to head over to Avalon. But of course, they run into a problem, and that'll be the whole idea. The submarine is, well, is kind of outdated, and so different parts of the actual submarine is beginning to, fall apart left and right. And so they don't have a choice here. They have to go ahead and go back up to the surface. The problem is that if they do that, they might be detected by the forces of Apocalypse, because they have no idea if they're far enough away from North America to not be detected by the forces of Apocalypse. But of course, you do have them being able to get back up to the surface. Now, when they do, you do have one of the sailors say, "Hey, we see another boat pulling up right now." Now, this boat is being controlled by a character known as Callisto. As we all know, in the old reality, Callisto was one of the many leaders of the Morlocks leading into Age of Apocalypse. But for Callisto, this is her boat. And apparently she said, you know what? we'll go ahead and help out by taking all your passengers and we'll try to help them get over to Avalon. Now, for Nightcrawler, he was already kind of trying to hide in the shadows. And the reason why, because earlier when it came to the submarine, when it had its issues, he realized he needed air really badly. So he went ahead and just teleported outside. But right after you had Callisto and her boat appear, he said, you know what? Let me just go ahead and stay hidden. And honestly, that was a good idea. I'll explain why here in a moment. But first, we pick up with Danny Moonstar, Deadpool in this reality, and also Dan Mask. Now again, they were assigned to, find Avalon and of course burned it down. Now here's the thing, because for Danny Moonstar, she is constantly torturing Deadpool, and the reason why, because Deadpool has a healing factor, so she loves the idea of torturing him. But Dan Mask did tell her to stop. The problem is that she did not stop at all, and so once you had Dan Mask being able to finish her conversation with Apocalypse, you didn't have Dan Mask go out of her way to kill off Danny Moonstar just like that. Now, guys, spoiler alert, she's not really dead, because there was other books that came out way later after this event was wrapped up that kind of show us what happened after X-Men Omega in this reality. The whole idea that Danny Moonstar is not dead is one of those things. But getting back over to Callisto, we see her and her crew being able to go ahead and take on every single passenger that was with Nightcrawler earlier onto her boat. And their goal is to head over to Mystique Station to kind of get over to Avalon. But here's the thing, because you didn't have Callisto and her crew, so you know what? Go ahead and hand over more of your valuable items. And the reason why, because your items will be able to cover the cost to do repairs on our ship, because our ship is not technically made to carry every single person over to Mystique Station. Now, let's not forget that earlier you had Nightcrawler stay in the shadows, and luckily he did. And the reason why, because you didn't have Callisto and her crew drop every single passenger into the Arctic water. So of course they die instantly. And the thing is, that's what they do. They go around to find different people who are supposedly heading over to Antarctica to get over to Avalon. And once they're able to grab a few more valuable items from those people, they then put those people at the bottom of their boat and then just drop them into the Arctic waters to kill them off and keep their items to themselves. Now, the problem is that when they get back over to North America, they kind of crash into piles of dead bodies, because when it came to Apocalypse, he had colon events all over North America, killing off humans left and right, and those bodies began to pile up, and most of the bodies piled up on the coast of North America. Now, their boat being stuck is great for Nightcrawler, because for Nightcrawler, he now knows what happened to all those people who was with him earlier. And so you have Nightcrawler go out of his way to kill off every single crew member of Callisto. Now, once he's able to kill all of them off, it now comes down to Nightcrawler going up against Callisto. But here's the thing. Because for Nightcrawler, he brought swords to a gunfight. So for Callisto, she has the perfect chance to go ahead and kill off Nightcrawler. But then, at the very last second, you have Nightcrawler be saved by his mother. But now we have to jump over to Generation Next. Now, Generation Next is really more of us focusing on Colossus and his team of young heroes as they go out of their way to save Ileana, his younger sister. Because in this reality, for Colossus, he had believed that his younger sister was dead. But then Magneto was able to tell Colossus, no, your younger sister is alive. And matter of fact, for Magneto, he wants to use Ileana's powers of time traveling to hopefully bring back the old timeline, the one where Charles Xavier had lived, a better reality than this one. And so for Colossus and his team, their main goal is to go out of their way to hopefully find Ileana, save her life, and then use her ability to bring back the old timeline. And so as we get into the opening pages for issue number 2, we do pick up with Ileana and also a young girl known as Ace. Now, for Ileana and Ace, they're currently inside somewhere called the Core. Now, throughout this issue, we're going to learn more about the Core, but the Core is being run by a character known as the Sugar Man. Now, the Sugar Man is a fan favorite character. And matter of fact, for me, I first learned about this character in X-Men Legends 2 on the PlayStation 2. But either way, for the Sugar Man, he's the one in charge of this facility. Now, he does go nearby the girls, but he decides to leave them alone and go after somebody else. Now, for Liana and also young girl Ace, it may seem like, okay, you know what, that's a good thing, but at the same time, it's a bad thing because they're still alive and trapped inside this horrible facility. But now we jump over to two humans. Now, these two humans were going around killing off other humans as a way to please Apocalypse. But on top of that, these two humans are kind of protecting this place that the Sugar Man controls at the moment. But you do have these two guys be taken out by Chambers and also Skin to kind of show that our young heroes are beginning the process of trying to find different ways to get inside the Core to basically save Ileana, but to also bring down the Sugar Man. But now we have to jump over to Kitty Pryde and also Colossus. And when we do, it's really more the two of them kind of telling us what the Core is. The Core is the main source of energy for all of America that is currently being controlled by Apocalypse. So his main source of energy. And the Core is of course being run by the Sugar Man. Now with all that being said, for Kitty Pryde, she kind of feels like this mission is a suicide run. The whole idea of trying to save Ileana from the Core could get somebody killed. But for Colossus, they have to do it because his little sister is trapped inside. Now, while you have the two characters talking to one another, Kitty Pryde is then attacked by an Undercloak. Now, an Undercloak are small creatures that work for the Sugar Man. They watch the outside area of the Core to make sure that nobody tries to break in. And really, they go ahead and kill off their targets if they see somebody trying to break into the Core. But you do have Colossus and Kitty Pryde being able to work together to kill off a single Undercloak. But now we have to jump over to a character known as Quetus. Now, when it comes to Quetus, Quetus is a mutant who works for the Sugar Man. But here's the thing. Quetus is actually head of security for the Core. Now the thing is, he is then confronted by Husk. Now when it comes to Husk, her main goal is to hopefully seduce Quetus to take him down easily. The problem is that for Quetus, even though at first he does believe Husk to be a regular human, he has this vaporizer. Now, when it comes to this vaporizer, it has the ability to bother other mutants except for him. But it's a way for him to use the vaporizer to figure out if there is a mutant right now inside a facility who is basically a spy, like Husk is at the moment. And so for Quetus, he's kind of like, yeah, you're not a human at all. You are a mutant. You are a turncoat. You're here to take me down. And so you have Quetus begin to beat down on Husk. Now for Quetus, he is killed off by a character known as Vincente, and I really hope I pronounced that name correctly, but for Vincente, he has the ability to change his body into different states of matter, so liquid, gas, or even solid. And so with him being gas or liquid, he can also become very toxic as well. So he was able to kill off Quetus from the inside out, being a liquid that Quetus had drank from his flask. And so now with Quetus out of the way, our heroes should be able to get inside the Core very easily. But the rest of the issue is really more of us seeing Husk and also Vicente, and I really hope I pronounced that name correctly, pretending to be Quetus so that they're able to pretend to be head of security to find Ileana and to hopefully get her out of there. And so this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see you next time in the next comic book video.